Victress FM, brought to you by Victress Entrepreneurs. Here's your host, single mum, entrepreneur and brain injury survivor, Michelle Williams.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Victress FM, where every week I'll be introducing you to inspiring women who have gone after their dreams and refused to give up even in the face of extreme adversity. We'll be diving into her victories and her defeats and discovering the lessons that she's learned along the way, all with the aim of inspiring you to step into your own unique power to create a business and life that you love. And today I was delighted to invite Sally Wadhwa, aka Your Tech Diva, onto Victress FM. Sally is the founder of sallywadhwa.com. She's a web developer and online tech strategist that helps female business owners create freedom in their businesses and their lives by teaching them how to create online products from their expertise. Sally has a background in coaching but started to learn about online business when she was trapped in a toxic relationship and pregnant with her daughter. Sally used her business as a way to empower herself and escape the domestic situation that she was trapped in. Sally is also a feminist activist and runs a female empowerment podcast called the PowerFem Voice. And during this episode, we talk about the limitless opportunities that women now have to empower themselves and create freedom in their lives through starting their own online businesses. And during this episode, Sally provides valuable tips and advice on how to get started. I absolutely loved hearing Sally's inspiring story of female empowerment and triumph over adversity, and I know that you will too. Enjoy. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Victress FM, where I'm really excited to welcome onto the show Sally Wadhwa. Now, have I pronounced your name correctly, first of all?
You have perfectly, thank you.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. Well, as you know, Sally, Victress FM is all about celebrating women's triumph over adversity, because I really want to inspire women that we all have the choice of how we respond to life's challenges, and we can all decide if we want to be the victim or victress of our own lives, regardless of some of the challenges and adversity that we go through. And in particular, I want to explore sometimes how our adversities lead us onto our entrepreneurial journey and the personal growth that we go through as entrepreneurs. And I know you've got a really inspiring story of triumph over adversity. So I wonder if you don't mind sharing your victory story with us today, please, Sally.
I'd absolutely love to. It'd be an honour to. I came out of an abusive relationship about 4 years ago now. And as a result of that, I suffered from PTSD and various mental health issues. However, one of the things that have kept me going and kept me strong is actually having my business and, of course, my children and my family. But in regards to something that's just my business, and the journey I went through with being in a controlling relationship, but also handling my business at the same time, ended up to be something that empowered me, supported me, and helped me recover and get to where I am now. I have a flourishing business, online business that I absolutely love being in, and the journey here is basically what I want to tell you guys about, and hopefully inspire someone through my story. But when going back 4 years and that place that I was at, there were mornings I used to have where I used to wake up and I used to have in my head that things aren't right, but I can make them better. And it was a really strange feeling. It was very weird because I had lots of internal attacks that were rebutted by talk from someone else, by control from someone else. And yeah, I always had that shield inside me that I used to bring up every now and then. And I used to look at my children. I used to be like, no, there's something that's not right, but I need to do something about it. But the only things I could control was what I did during my day. Okay. Because that's I was on my own during the day. And I used to I already had a business. I knew that I had to do something to earn money, but I started to find coaching like really difficult and really draining while I was going through this issue. And I also felt it kind of wasn't right to be coaching someone when I was going through issues myself. So I knew I had to do something else. And my son was brought home some homework, and I was helping him with it, and it was coding using a program called Scratch, and we were doing it together, and I really enjoyed it. And I said to him, oh yeah, we can set up. I looked on Amazon, ordered some extra bits. I said, oh, we can do this, like this can be our thing that we can do together. But during my research, I found so many resources online to learn how to program websites that late at night, when the kids were asleep, I started learning the basics myself. And I did this while I was pregnant with my daughter, because I saw it as a way out I saw it as a way out of being controlled by someone else, because I'd be earning my own money. I'd feel more secure with having a new business to go to when I was ready to return to work after having a newborn.
Yeah.
And I went on, and every time I used to get slightly worried, slightly nervous. I used to have good days, I used to have bad days. I used to have times where I could absorb information so easily, and then I used to have the days where in my head I was saying, what are you doing? Because there are other things to be dealing with. But it was kind of my escape.
Yeah.
And I feel like I needed an escape. I felt I was a few different personalities. I had to wake up, I had to be a mum straight away. I had to then deal with the issues that were going on with me and my partner until he went to work. And then I got a moment to myself when my daughter had a nap, but then within 15 minutes I'd be feeding again. And I kind of split my days into different people that I had to be in order to get through that time. And it happened automatically. And to be honest, I can say this to you now, that that's what was going on, but I didn't realise that's what I was doing at the time. I only found out when I was getting help and I was looking back. But it turns out I'd actually worked out my own routine in order to get through each day. And that's how I made sure that that learning for my business came in. The learning gave me so much empowerment that the 9 months went by. I had my daughter, I had a new skill, and then I set off really slowly and really quietly for obvious reasons. And I had my first client once my daughter was born.
Yeah. And so you said sort of quietly, because obviously we won't go into too much detail, but obviously you were going through sort of domestic abuse, sort of controlling relationship. So did you see this as some form of escape from that, do you think, or not, or was it just that you felt like you needed a different focus, and were you looking for empowerment, or was this something that like you said, you didn't really realize what was happening at the time, but it was more of an escape from your day-to-day reality, I guess? I
think I realized that I was looking for something. And at that stage of being a mum and finding out you're pregnant, you go into being pregnant and enjoying being pregnant. But for me, I saw I needed something to keep me going and to keep my children safe. And the only thing I could think of to get me out of my situation was to be having a flourishing business and earning my own money. So I could move away and be in a position where we're safe. And I researched. I've had a business before. I knew what way business was going, what way the world was going, and how important tech is and coding. And it was as if something just landed in front of me, and I had to grab that chance. And it just happened to be that when my son came home with that. So I feel in answer to your question, I do feel that it just kind of went along. I was taking each day at a time and just being open to what signs were around me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I call it following the clues, because it's like sometimes things, like you say, are shown to us and we take up that opportunity, and it sort of sounds like that kind of happened to you with your little one coming home from work and having to learn coding with, it's called Scratch, did you say?
Yeah,
Scratch. Yeah. And you describe yourself now, I believe, as an online tech strategist. So can you go into a little bit more detail about, what you're doing now and how you help people with their businesses, with your tech skills?
Well, the word freedom is very, very important to me, and it was one of the words that I had going on when I was once I'd left and started rebuilding properly and had the chance to be open and put myself out there online. I started to work my business around this one word, freedom. And basically anyone that comes in contact with me or takes up my services of having a website designed, or having a sales funnel created online courses, or any digital products, is that what they have as an end result is freedom through the income that they earn. Because most of my clients are either coaches, VAs, service providers who only work one-to-one. But my service is to go into their business, get them to use their expertise to create online products, which could therefore be sold up to like 24 hours a day on an online platform.
Yeah, so they're then sort of serving one to many and escaping that time for money trap that sometimes we all get sucked into, don't we? And I love that, because it is all about freedom and empowerment, female empowerment as well.
Yeah.
And I also love how you describe that, because no, you're not just creating websites and sales funnels, because it is about creating freedom. And really that's why people start in business, isn't it? Because they're normally looking, it's not, they're not necessarily looking like they want to be millionaires, but they want to create a change in their life or better lifestyle. And quite often that's to do with freedom and flexibility, isn't it?
Exactly. Michelle, it's exactly that. I can't even add on to that. But I wanted to show and to teach that I mean, you can get so far by thinking outside the box and doing things only slightly differently. You could achieve so much more. A lot of people say, but we don't have the time to learn this or that, or we're too busy within our businesses to be taking time to learn about social media, different platforms, what a sales funnel is. But once you do, the ROI on it is so valuable. It just changes everything for a business owner, especially that coach that's up every night wondering when they're going to get their next one-to-one client, or how they're going to fill up a workshop that they've only had 2 people interested. There are so many tools online that I'm so passionate about this. There's so many tools online, and some of them are free, and they only take maybe up to an hour today, and it makes such a big difference on the awareness that you make for your business and that you make for yourself. And once you get started, you find it so empowering, and it increases your confidence. Honestly, it does. A Facebook Live, okay, you might be nervous doing the first one, but I promise you, if you create a habit of setting the intention of doing one maybe every week at the same time, you're going to just be soon enough, you'll just be pulling out your phone saying, I'm going to do a live, and anytime, anywhere. It does happen there is a lot to say about consistency. And taking that one step forward when it comes to running an online business. There's a lot of success in just the fact of being consistent in something that you want to do.
Yeah, and I love that. And also you mentioned making something a habit, because that's so, I think, so important. And also overcoming your fear and your self-doubt and, you know, thinking I can't do this, because, you know, we can all let ourselves stop us, can't we? You know, I was just speaking with somebody else on my previous podcast interview about the imposter syndrome and all of those things. But I think what I really want to get across for Victress FM and for Victress entrepreneurs is I really want to inspire, educate and empower women that, you know, that we basically all have the power to create our own destinies. And I personally love the self-development journey that we go through or go on as entrepreneurs. I mean, I know when I kind of started my business years back, and this isn't Victress Entrepreneurs, I have another business, the Craft Academy. I actually started that out of adversity because I was fired from my job for being pregnant. And it was a horrible, horrible thing to go through. I went through divorce and, you know, horrible things. But I can honestly say that it was having my own business that kind of saved me from a lot of my adversity and actually helped me discover who I am and what I'm capable of. Because I went through a lot of self-doubt, you know, confidence issues and things like that. But I really believe that the lessons that we learn from running our business and, you know, and taking on new challenges and making that commitment to ourselves to learn new things, we really grow as people, which I think feeds into our self-worth. Would you agree with that?
Yes, definitely. As I said, think when people have this, or there are a lot of clients that I've had that have gone into business and thinking that all they need to do is get a website made, get business cards printed and go to a networking meeting. And then business rolls in from there on. But I think we've all done, especially people who've gone into business like 10, 15 years ago. That's how it was done. You got your business cards designed, and that was one of the most important things as part of your marketing. However, it has changed so much that when someone that does step into a business in this day and age, you've got you do need to learn a lot more, especially if you haven't been brought up with social media. Even using something as LinkedIn is so different to an older person an older person. I say person. I'm coming up to 40 next year. I have a lot of clients that are older than me who are just being introduced into the online world, and the feeling that you see on them when you're talking about live video, when you're talking about Twitter and how fast that platform moves, and all you do is post one sentence. And it's incredible when I see their reactions, because yes, it is totally different. But when you're going into business and you're learning about all these new things, some of the stuff that you wouldn't even learn about it unless you were starting a business, unless you were going into entrepreneurship, is so it's just so I don't want to say mind-blowing.
That's the exact word that was in my head, so I think it's
it's so empowering, because you've put yourself in this place into the unknown where you're increasing your knowledge in order to create something bigger, something for yourself that's going to earn you money, that's going to be what you wake up and do every day of the week apart from weekends. so it's a very I cannot describe the power that sitting down, there are a lot of places you can even learn how to do this now. There's so many learning platforms online that you can literally decide, I want to learn something, and go online and buy a course.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can do it from your phone, you can do it from your laptop. There are so many opportunities to learn and increase our knowledge in regards to online business that it's incredible. There's no reason not to do this.
No, absolutely. And I would personally say that I've learned more from having my own business than I ever learned in any corporate job. I've learned more, knowledge, but also I've learned so much more about myself. And it's kind of, I think female entrepreneurship is actually about that personal journey that we go on, that that self-growth and self-worth, which I think is so important, because that's what makes us feel fulfilled in life. There's so many people stuck in jobs that they don't like, they have no satisfaction from, and they don't feel fulfilled. But I think what I love about female entrepreneurship is that personal growth and development that it takes us on, and obviously the empowerment. And I just want to touch what you talked about we mentioned about creating the opportunity to serve one to many rather than one to one or one to few, and that ability to create recurring revenue even when you're asleep or even when you're not working is, again, so powerful. And it goes back to creating this freedom and security, which I think is important for anybody, but I think it feeds back into this female empowerment. And I just like to say my original business is the Craft Academy, which I started 17 years ago, and it started as like a little local business where I was creating baby keepsakes basically for mums, casting babies' hands and feet, making jewellery with fingerprints in and things like that. But I started that after being fired from my job for being pregnant. So it was kind of like, again, I mentioned about sometimes clues about, things happen to us that put us on a different path. I certainly feel that happened to me. But what started as like a little local business ended up as an online business, because basically back in 2008, before people were really doing, people were doing online courses, but not in the scale that they're doing them now. I actually filmed all of my courses, put them online, created a membership site to support, the people that had done my training. And literally, it was so exciting because I was making money. I'd wake up in the morning and sales from my online courses would come in. I'd be like, wow, I've like made money before I've even made breakfast, if you see what I mean.
Yes.
But what is really exciting is I had a brain hemorrhage a couple of years ago, and I was unable to work for about 3 years. In fact, I'm only just coming back. But my business continued to survive and make money, despite the fact that I was, in hospital having brain surgery and then recovering for months thereafter in the care of my parents, and then unable to work for a few years. That business still survived and still continued to make money. And I think that's the power of an online business, isn't it? Creating a business model which is sustainable in the long term, and that can create a passive income for you, even if you're unable to work in your business.
Yes, because it's possible to automate. Once you've created a product, once you've put it online, luckily nowadays it's possible to automate services, so a client doesn't even know that you're taking a day off.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's not far out of reach. This isn't like, basically everything that I'm explaining or that I have mentioned, like from your story, has been done before. It's so people are doing it. People are taking advantage of having an online business, and honestly, anyone can do this. It's just knowing the right people to listen to, going to the right places, and knowing just a few tech things of how to record, how to promote yourself, and just making that start in order to do it. Just wanting it that bad, that knowing that whatever the next step is, that you've like setting a goal, knowing that you're going to do, it's like knowing that you're going to do one thing towards that goal every day. So if you look at it like that, you have the thought, okay, I want to create an online course. And then you set aside, you can even set a timer for, even if you're having a difficult day or it's one of those tough days and you don't want to do anything to your goals. In fact, you're not even thinking about getting to goals. But as long as you set yourself, maybe do like 15 minutes, or set a time 15 minutes for 10 minutes, just something that every day that you're moving closer to makes you feel even more empowered, that at the end of the day you're like, gosh, despite what was going on, what I went through, I still spent time working towards something that I really, really want for myself.
Yeah, exactly. Because small steps, you know, are so important. Well, they're better than no steps, aren't they? But small steps will take you where you want to go.
Exactly. And even seeing those small steps bring results. And once you start seeing results, even from tiny steps, you start taking giant leaps. Because you're going to see the results come in, and before you know it, sooner enough, you have that online course, and you're working in a totally different way and a different mindset as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
What you've created from not knowing how to in the first place.
And I believe you can make an online business out of almost anything, can't you? You know, so you know, I think sometimes people struggle to identify what their purpose in life should be, you know, what their passion is. But the fact is, if you have got, you know, if you've got a passion or something you love doing or something you've got a lot of knowledge on, and you can share that knowledge with somebody else, whether it's a hobby or, you know, whatever it is, you can create an online course from that in almost any niche. Would you agree with that?
Oh yes, I've seen women who've done courses on crochet, knitting. There's this one woman who did a course on it. Actually, this is great. It was her mum's recipe for a dish, and she did a video for it and put it down as a course. And so she spoke about the ingredients, why she used organic, and, you know, kind of put everything together and did the recipe inside that course, and put it on a platform. I think it was Udemy. And she sold, I think it was at a low price for like £10, and she made like $1 million, just over $1 million off that one tutorial, because everyone wanted to know how to make that dish.
Wow.
And it added up, putting yourself online and having that reach of think about how many people are online or on their laptops, and having that reach just got her straight away, literally within 2 weeks. The impact is humongous.
Yeah, it is. And I think that, again, I think it's back to thinking outside of the box, because I think lots of people want to start a business, but they've got no idea what they could do. And, you know, so one of the things I think is to look at, like, you know, well, what are you good at? What are your strengths? But also, you know, what do other people ask you advice about? Or what do you absolutely love doing? Because, I mean, that's a good example, isn't it? If you're talking about a recipe or crocheting, sometimes it can be the things that you just absolutely love doing, because there's always somebody that's going to want to learn to do what you know how to do. And that certainly happened with my business, the Craft Academy, which, as I said, it started as like a little small local business. And I didn't have a strategy to take it online, because this is back in 2008. But I think I was listening to the demand of, you know, as soon as I created a website, people were actually contacting me and saying, oh, I really want, you know, people from all over the world, basically, want to come on your studio courses, but I can't travel. So I responded to that, and that's kind of what made me create the online courses. But back then, there weren't all of the amazing tools that we have. I got somebody to, you know, code my website and everything. But it's easier than ever nowadays, isn't it, to create an online course, and also, you know, the sales funnels and everything to get your course and your business out there. And so that's, I know that's what you help people to do. So can you go into a little bit more detail then about perhaps people here that are listening and thinking, yeah, you know, I really want to give this a go, I want to start my business and I've got this real passion. You know, can you give any words of wisdom there about what are the first steps that perhaps they should take, and then how you could actually help them to make that dream a reality?
Yeah, sure. First, I think that's a great place to start. So the first steps that you would take, if you've decided that there is a product that you want to create to sell online, so it could be an online course or a workbook, even something like starting a podcast and monetizing that, or creating a YouTube channel. Any of those things that those are all online products that you can make money from. And you would firstly decide on who your audience is. Who are you going to be serving?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you going to be selling to? And once you've decided on your audience, it's what products are you going to create for them?
Yeah.
And how would you share your information? Then you go on to the marketing side of creating the website and finding out, starting to maybe get a basic understanding of some social media platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And set up your profiles and just play around with them and see how they work and how you use them. You might use some of them personally already, but it's just using them in a business concept.
Yeah.
Then once you're ready with those, or even just up until you've got your plan, you would then look to have like an online presence in the form of a website.
Mm-hmm.
And then have a service off the website which would host your product. So if it's an online course, an attachment to a membership site to the website, to your own website, or a shop to sell your courses. And what I would do is once we've created that website and the other platform that they need to be hosted on, we'll then teach you and train you at how to market your products and how to create sales funnels, which are a sales process, basically how you lead your client from awareness of your business and then to purchasing your course or your whatever product you have. Now, this doesn't limit to one product. You can have as many as you like, and go through the same process. But I mainly focus on training the coach or the VA or service provider how to do this themselves, so that they can repeat the process in their business rather than spending loads on relying on someone else to create this process for them and having it in someone else's control, who doesn't necessarily know what their passion is or their drive behind this, or will not communicate it in the way that the actual business owner can. So I provide tutorials that the client can, once they have their website built, which we do for them, because it's to teach a client how to do a website. It brought up, we did try that, but it brought up more issues. So we do the websites and that side, the tech, but however, in regards to the marketing, creating the funnel and even creating their product is all done by tutorials.
Oh, I love that, because that's back to empowerment, actually empowering them to do that themselves, and and ultimately creating the freedom that they want in their lives. But I love that. I'm just kind of interested. So we've talked a little bit about, obviously, your story and how you've gone on to create this amazing business that's now empowering other people. But have you, because obviously you have gone through some adversity there. I mean, how do you sort of keep that positive frame of mind? Because I know, particularly if we've been through adversity, sometimes we tell ourselves like negative stories, we have that negative self-talk, the imposter syndrome and things like that. How do you keep with a positive mindset? Do you have any sort of like daily rituals or routines that keep you sort of positive and focused on success and on achieving your goals?
Yeah, I do. There are a few things that I do that I can share with you, but I think there's also one thing that you have to remember, that you are human. If you are having a good day, if you are having a bad day, then it's okay to maybe to have a moment to yourself, or if you need to cry and release it and let your body go through it, rather than getting to that, oh my God, I'm like, I'm having a bad day, but I've got this and this to do, and you tell yourself off, you become hard on yourself. But I think the biggest thing is, no matter all of the tools that I do use, what I have to keep remembering, which I think is really important, is to be kind to myself, and that it's going to be me that has control over that. I'm the one that's creating the talk that's going internally. And to be nicer about it. I started journaling 3 years ago, which I absolutely love now. My journal is like an art book, but it's I do a lot of journaling. Whenever I feel like it, I just write. I don't even have a process. If you look online and Pinterest, you can find lots of journaling prompts to help you. But you just sit down and write, and I do that in the morning. I used to do it every morning, but now I don't feel I need to. So either in the morning or in the evening before I go to bed. I started running as to be outdoors and get some fresh air and get away from my desk and everything. Once I go out for a run, I feel like again, that sense of freedom being outdoors. I used to be terrible at this, and I used to be able to run like for a minute and then stop and walk. But I used to set a time that I would be outdoors, either walking, running, or jogging, whatever it is. But it's along those lines, I used to make sure that I used to be out doing that for half an hour a day. And being outdoors really helped, and especially away from everything. I just used to have music on my phone, and that was it.
And I think that's really important, because especially in this digital world, when we're also connected to our laptops and our screens and things like that, you need to give yourself time out and let your brain switch off as well, and just be back out there in the natural world, and whether it's walking or running. So I can relate to that totally.
And I started planning my days in advance. Now this was an effect of the PTSD, but I found it difficult. I found it more panicky when I didn't know where I was and on what day or what I was organising, because I just used to arrange things and just have them in my head and not write them down. But having a weekly plan, because of how busy work's gone, it's turned into a daily plan now. But this is back when I was seeing what worked to help me stay positive. I used to do a weekly plan, and I knew exactly where I was at what time. And that really, really helped me with my mental health.
I think so. And it's kind of like, otherwise, and also you just can't hold things in your head, can you? Because then you end up feeling you get like brain fog, don't you? So are there any books or anything which have really inspired you? Books, or when I say books, it might be audibles or anything, but I speak to a lot of people, and quite often they'll recommend a particular book or something that's really inspired them and helped them kind of grow and go on that journey of self-improvement and empowerment.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who I listened, because I used to listen to YouTube videos, and there's a woman called Mel Robbins who wrote the 5-second rule.
Okay. So
the theory is that when you think that you've got to do something, you then say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then move. You've got to make a movement, and then you get up and you go and you do that thing. And I read her books, and I used to listen to her, and the 5-second rule, it lasts a whole book, but that's basically the process of it. You have the thought, if you've got to do something, you count to 5 and you get up and you do it. And that was very effective for me. Reading that book, and also she's got a lot of videos on YouTube. Again, a free resource that you can listen to people's talks. I used to listen to TED Talks a lot as well.
I think it really helps, doesn't it? Just listening to like motivational stuff. It makes me feel really empowered, because I would say that I'm naturally quite a resilient person, and I tend to be quite a positive person, but there are going to be days we're not always like that. And I think the best thing that I have found is, well, first of all, calm myself down. So I've got this app on my phone, Calm, which you can just, if your head's busy and you're telling yourself negative things, or you can't do something, or you're worrying about something, it's like a breathing sort of technique. But then I make sure I always either listen or read something that's really inspiring and empowering, because it automatically, I think, changes your perception and perspective on things. Do you find that as well?
Yeah, I definitely agree, because you're changing your mindset.
Yeah.
Again, it's with learning. You're reading to learn something.
Yeah.
And then it comes back to what you're saying about empowerment. I think reading and listening to podcasts and watching videos that are just on empowerment talks. For instance, also TED Talks, and it really does put you in a place of motivation to make a change for yourself, to do something, and to also be inspired by someone else's story and seeing how they've come out. I mean, I started running coffee morning at the local family centre for women who had experience of abuse, just to give something back, but also hear other people's stories that were similar to mine.
Yeah.
And how they survived and what they were doing now, and that was I found that very it was sometimes it was draining. If I was having a bad day, that it was draining.
Yeah.
But if it was a good day, if I was able to pull myself out before I got there by the morning, it turned out to be very very empowering.
And that's really why I wanted you on the show, because obviously I heard about your own story of domestic abuse, which obviously domestic abuse is all about control and I know in domestic abuse there can be sort of physical abuse, but also psychological abuse, where you're controlled, you're isolated from people, your confidence is knocked, and you lose that freedom that we mentioned, that power or empowerment. And so what I love is the transformation that you've gone through from being in that situation of really being controlled to now being such a inspiring and empowered woman. And I just think that's just a powerful message for everybody, because I think by sharing these types of stories, hopefully all women will realise that it's possible for us all to move from a situation which is not good for us to creating our own future and our own destiny, which is why I absolutely love what you've done. And we are going to have to wrap up quite soon, but I just wanted to touch quickly, because we've talked about your business, which is absolutely amazing, and I'm going to ask you obviously how people can reach out to you in a minute, but I hope you don't mind as well. I just want to mention this amazing podcast that you've started, PowerFem Voice, which obviously that's obviously a passion project. It's not, you're not monetizing it, but you're doing that to really help other women that have gone through some of the things that you've gone through. So do you mind just sharing a little bit about that, please? Because I think it's going to really help a lot of women.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. The PowerFem Voice podcast, it is on iTunes, and it's a podcast all for the idea was that it's a podcast for women who, as a resource for women who are recovering from in that recovery process from domestic abuse. And it slowly started turning with people asking me to speak, and it's starting to turn into just an empowerment podcast when you're recovering from any sort of toxic relationship. So we're talking not just partner, but like family, parents, friendships, and you're growing out into a new person, a different world. You're getting your own identity back, and it's to help you through that process. It's been an absolute pleasure to start. I used my digital marketing experience to launch this, as well as helping me fundraise for the London Marathon, which I'm running in 3 weeks' time, for Refuge charity. So that it everything, when I was ready and started to give back, everything was around this podcast to help me keep in the zone.
I love that, and I've listened to a few episodes. They're really inspiring, so I'll definitely put links to that as well in the details. But before we get one final question, I wanted to ask you as well, in light of everything that you have been through in your life and all the adversity that you faced, if you could go back and give your younger self a really good piece of advice, what would that advice be?
It would be to believe in myself, and to realise that no matter what anyone else is saying to me, that I can confidently say that I'm strong.
Yeah.
And I can learn. That I'm strong and I can learn to turn this into a positive outcome for me. And that nothing, whatever's going on now, is not how it's going to be forever.
Yeah, I love that. And you're obviously, to me, the definition of a victress. You've been, through your own adversity, and you've turned your life around. You've created this amazing business, which is now helping other people create freedom and empowerment. So I absolutely love that. But can I just ask you then, if our listeners want to find out more about you and more about your business, how can they do that?
In various platforms. So I do have a website, which is just my name, www.sallywadhwa.com. And I also run a free group on Facebook, a free support group, and which anyone's welcome to join. And you just need to search my name on Facebook. Will you be able to link it to the show notes?
I can absolutely link it to the show notes. If you send that over, I will absolutely link that to the show notes for sure. Yeah.
And once again, just totally separate is the podcast, and the podcast is the PowerFem Voice podcast, and it's on iTunes.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. Well, I just want to thank you, Sally. I've really enjoyed chatting to you. Your story from moving from victim to victress, I have found so inspiring, and I know that my listeners will too. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. And I will connect with you again very soon. Bye-bye for now. And to you, our wonderful Victress FM listeners, I hope that you've enjoyed this interview as much as I have. Don't forget, if you want to find out more about Sally, please either check out the show notes or head over to victressentrepreneurs.com, where all of our amazing podcast guests are featured on our website. Please also check out all of our amazing free resources to help you through each stage of starting, launching and growing your business. And don't forget to subscribe to Victress FM on iTunes or Stitcher to make sure that you don't miss out on another inspiring episode. But until next week, stay victorious.
You're listening to Victress FM. Victress Entrepreneurs, for women who are victorious in business and in life.